I'm having my baby soon, and you'll be the one paying for it.
R/entitled parents.
Ooh, nothing like little auto-tune Reed to start the morning.
T-Pain who? Karen Payne in the house. Mixtape dropping soon.
Let's begin. Karen demands I pay her hospital bills for having her baby. My immediate family consists of me, 27 male, my wife, who's 29, and our son, who's 8. We rely solely on my income to make ends meet, and while it is sufficient for our own needs, we don't have any extra money to spare. My wife's older sister, who's 31, is going through financial difficulties due to her poor choice in a partner. Her husband was incarcerated for theft while she was pregnant with their first kid. Out of sympathy, we assisted her with everything and we paid for her pregnancy-related expenses. However, as soon as her husband was released, she became pregnant again. Her husband is lazy and only works a few days per month, sometimes going for months without any employment. Given their situation, I ended up financially supporting her second pregnancy as well. On both occasions, we also gifted her some money. Shortly after giving birth to her second, she became pregnant again with a third baby. At this time, my family was undergoing significant adjustments in our own lives, which involved substantial expenses. During her pregnancy, she repeatedly asked for loans that she never repaid, but we anticipated this and didn't plan on asking for the money back. When the expected date of her third baby's birth arrived, we visited the hospital and provided a monetary gift as we had always done. After the baby was born, the hospital expenses had to be paid, and the sister's husband, who's 38, and his family, they looked at me when the bill arrived. I remained silent and he handed me the bill. I then explained that I couldn't cover the hospital expenses this time. I told him that we had never agreed upon it in the first place. Additionally, I pointed out that the amount we had gifted her was roughly the same as the hospital bill, so it should have covered it. The husband became angry and started speaking negatively about me. He called me a jerk for not paying. His family members also appeared angry and openly criticized both me and my wife. I responded by saying that they can't expect me to pay when we didn't even agree on it beforehand. Am I the jerk? More info. We're from a developing country where government assistance is rare and insufficient. Banking is limited, with most people relying on cash. Insurance is almost non-existent, and upfront payment is required for everything. Loans are mostly inaccessible to the general population. Private hospitals are expensive, while government hospitals are relatively more affordable but still require upfront payment. While a few hospitals allow post-operation payment, it is still required within a short time frame, usually within a few days, before leaving the premises. Not the jerk, but you should stop enabling your sister-in-law. It must be super difficult to see her in this situation, but as long as you provide financial support, she has no reason to change her situation. Not the jerk. If the husband and his family are so upset, they can open their wallets and shut their mouths. Frankly, you're a better person than me. I wouldn't have paid for any of the expenses for any of their kids. Not the jerk. The thing is, you created expectations on their part when you paid before. They assumed that you'd shell out the money like you've done in the past. That's on them. Am I the jerk for spending a lot of time in my bunker away from my family? My grandfather was an incredibly talented man who also suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, and he was convinced that war was going to end the human race at some point. So he built his own bunker and then buried the entrance because he was convinced that both the KGB and the CIA were watching him and wanted to keep the bunker a secret. Yes, he was a crazy man. My dad inherited his house but never lived there. So when I had my first kid in 2018 and we got married in 2019, my dad made me an incredibly generous offer for the house. I bought computers that were more expensive than the house. The bunker became kind of an urban legend, mostly because my old grandpa used to tell a lot of crazy stories. But out of curiosity, I went looking for it and I found the entrance. The old man really did it. So thanks to being stuck at home during the uneventful 2020 and 2021, I started remodeling the bunker to look a lot less like a fallout vault and more like my own man cave. Everyone loves it, especially the kids, my nephews and friends' kids. So the house is decorated to my wife's taste while I can do whatever I want in the bunker, play games, fix computers, set up a whole home server, work from home, etc. However, lately she's been complaining about me being distant and spending a lot of time there and less time with her and our kid. She's pregnant again, so she said she was worried, but I just promised to spend more time at the house. After a few weeks, that wasn't enough for her and she accused me of abandoning her. I'm asking for judgment here, because I'm trying to be there for my family. But this bunker feels like it's the only thing that's really mine and where I can actually have a break. But my wife has said she's going to seal the entrance, otherwise I might miss the birth and not even notice. Should I just move all of my stuff into the house and forget about it? Am I really being neglectful, or is this just her pregnancy hormones talking? To be clear, I do help with the house chores and I spend time with my son when I'm there, and I have an intercom in the bunker, so my wife can just call me if she needs anything and I'll go up there immediately. ETA. Everybody is asking me this. I spend at least 6 hours at the bunker on weekdays. I work there, so I think it's reasonable, and at least 4 hours on the weekends. But yeah, you're right, I need to make arrangements. I forgot to mention, our son goes to kindergarten, so my wife has time to work and sometimes be alone at home. ETA 2. Guys, I swear I'm taking notes. I'm just trying to understand what I should change about myself and how to talk to my wife about this. Remember that I spend at least 6 hours working, not scratching my belly. My manager allows me to log out early if I'm finished for my work for the day, but I can't log out if I've been working for less than 6 hours. I also spend time talking with my team on Slack. ETA 3. So many of you are picking up on my language. I would appreciate if you explain calmly why my choice of words is so bad, so I don't mess things up when I speak to my wife. Mini update. I had a talk with my wife. Overall, I think it went well since she told me everything, but there are so many raw emotions right now, and I was sent to sleep in the spare room. She had no mercy on me, but we needed this talk so we can have a clear path for our future together. You're the jerk. Where's your wife's bunker equivalent, and how many hours per week does she get in that space versus you in your bunker? Way to go, putting 100% of the mental load on your wife in no uncertain terms. ETA. It's absolutely valid for OP to spend his work hours in the bunker. I believe the problems of balance exist outside of the working hours. You're the jerk. Not for spending time in the bunker. That sounds cool. I would also be in there all the time. But for considering ignoring your wife, who's pretty directly telling you that you aren't spending enough time with your family and being distant. You started a family, dude. It's not all about you anymore. Info. You say you like going there so you can get a break. Does your wife get a break? How many hours daily are you spending in it? Edit. Based on replies, you're the jerk. You're spending 6 hours minimum on a weekday and then 4 hours on a weekend? You also didn't answer me about if your wife gets a break, so should I assume that she doesn't? Do you even like your wife? I'm pretty done with men claiming to be active parents when really the bare minimum is being done. And you want praise for helping out when you're home? OP, you're the jerk. Your wife is pregnant and you're relying on her to take the full mental load at home while you get away time. Do you not see how insanely selfish that is, especially in comparison to everything she's going through? Please grow up. Your wife and kids deserve a lot more than an absentee father/husband. Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk or is his wife? Please let us know.
Tell OP I'm on my way to the bunker. I'm bringing our tinfoil hats and survival seeds. They're putting fluoride in our water.
Am I the jerk for counting down the days until my daughter turns 18 so I can stop being legally responsible for her? I married my wife about 2 years ago and she has a daughter from a previous relationship. Early on during our dating period, she made it clear that her daughter has a father and she's not looking for another father for her. The ground rules were set by her that I would be an adult figure, but not a parental one. I will have no say in how she is to be brought up, and I can't punish her in any way. Considering she was 14 when her mom and I met and 15 when we married, I agreed to her rules. My thinking was that she's already too old for me to make any difference in her life, so why make it an issue? Fast forward a couple of years, and my life has been a nightmare. The girl constantly gets into trouble and has been kicked out of several schools. She lived with her father at the time. She had to move in with us so she could attend a new high school in order to graduate. She's been suspended several times at this high school, but it looks like she'll graduate on time. While living with us, she's been in 2 accidents, once where she had been drinking, and we had to remortgage our house to pay for her attorney fees and legal bills. Oh man, dang. The judge dressed us down in court for not being better parents. I'm not a legal expert at all, but from movies and shows, I know that judges can jail you for arguing. So I bit my tongue and I just took it. It was humiliating. The girl is a couple months away from being an adult, and this weekend I was out with the guys and she came up in conversation. I complained about how much money I've spent bailing her out of trouble and that I can't wait until she turns 18 so she can face her own consequences. Word got back to my wife and she blew up. I still don't think I said anything wrong, but I'm staying at a motel tonight. I want to be clear. We're not kicking her out, and considering she doesn't work, she'll be living with us for a while. I'm just waiting for the day she's an adult, so I won't be yelled at by any more judges. Update. Thank you for taking the time to read my post. I wrote it while I was very angry, so I left out some details. Here's some answers to some common questions. 1. I built the house myself before I met my wife, so it's solely mine. I call it ours, not because she's on the papers, but because she's been living here and we're married. My wife doesn't really ask me to help out, but I make more than her and her ex combined. She struggles to pay for her daughter and could never afford an attorney. I know my wife would be heartbroken if her only kid went to jail, so I decided to pay for the attorney to keep my wife sane. 2. The biological dad lives several states away, and he's gone low contact with his daughter. I'm not exactly sure why, because I was never told the reason. I didn't have to go to court, but my wife had to go, so I took the day off to go and support her. When the judge ordered the parents to come to stand before him, my wife could barely walk, so I held her arm and helped her to the bench, which was why I was standing there. I've never had any dealings with the court outside of speeding tickets, and I took care of those with the clerks. Standing in front of a judge who can jail me made me terrified, and having him yell at me was the most humiliating thing I've gone through, which is the main reason why I'm so excited for this girl to turn 18, so I will no longer be called out in front of a judge. The first car she wrecked was her mother's old car that was gifted to her when I bought my wife a new car. The second car she wrecked was my old car I gave to her when I bought myself a new car. There's been no talks of getting her another car because her license has been suspended. If you're not a parental figure, why are you paying for these things at all? You're a saint for putting up with this. Not the jerk. Mom wants to have her cake and eat it too. Dude, why are you so worried about being jailed? Trust me, you're already in a prison of your own making. Not the jerk. Not the jerk, but you should probably be rethinking your whole marriage because this is not going to stop when she turns 18.
In life, sometimes you get what you accept. You get what you settle for. You have to set firm boundaries with people and hold those boundaries. Never let yourself be used, mistreated, or taken advantage of like this.
Exactly. The only reason I let Karen insult me the way she does is because I know she doesn't exist. She's just a voice inside my head that preys on my own insecurities.
Let's not get carried away now, Reddit boy. I may be a figment of your imagination, but I still have feelings.
Am I the jerk for not sharing my travel plans with my parents? I, female 28, moved back to my parents' house last year after getting out of a terrible relationship. We don't get along well. My mother disapproves of many of my life choices and relationships. Meanwhile, I've met someone else, and we've been dating for 6 months now, but I haven't shared this with my parents and don't feel comfortable doing so. We're traveling together next week, and as I live at home, I need to inform my parents that I will be leaving for a week. My mother is already grilling me regarding where I'm going and with who, and guilt-tripping me because I live at her house and she's my mother and entitled to know. She also feels she should know for my safety in case something happens to me. I don't pay rent, so I feel some accountability towards her. I plan on maintaining that I don't want to share and keeping things private. Would I be the jerk? Okay, here's some extra info. My friends know where I'm going, and so does my boyfriend's family. I've been dating this person for 6 months, but we've been coworkers in the past. This is not some random person that I don't know at all. The decisions my mother doesn't agree with are all of them, from my outfit choices, to the color I chose to dye my hair, to how I place silverware in the dishwasher, to mocking food allergies. She has unsolicited negative comments to add to just about everything, and this is why I don't feel comfortable sharing my relationship, which is great, with her. I would absolutely love to share my trip with them. I just know she'll cast a shadow to it. My parents do not accept rent from me. I do pay for my food and anything that's consumed by me. My brother, male 24, comes and goes as well and faces none of this. At the moment, he's living abroad and my parents support him. I have a great job. However, I live in a country where the average monthly salary is less than 1 month rent for a 1-bedroom apartment. The only people my age that I know that were able to move out are double-income couples. I'm saving 70% of every paycheck towards buying a house. I also budget for traveling. Again, I live somewhere flooded by tourism, where housing is not affordable to locals at all. Edit 2. I've shared with my father that I will be traveling from this day to this day and that they can reach me through WhatsApp. His reaction was a simple, okay. I believe my mother is not asking for details out of concern. When I share the necessary details with her, she will probe for more and more until she has enough info to pass judgment. I'm assuming because it's happened in the past. Not the jerk. I'm traveling to this place for a week. If there's an emergency, you can leave word here. I'll see you in a week. That's all. This will be an unpopular opinion, but I think it needs to be said. You're the jerk. The thing is, I can understand why your mom is asking. They don't know you had a steady and stable relationship for months. The only thing they know is that you apparently don't have a good enough job or money to get your own place, but you're suddenly disappearing for a week to God knows where with God knows who. And you refuse to tell anyone anything about your supposed trip for no apparent reason? And you're being dodgy about it? You and we know that you'll be safe with someone that you're comfortable with. They don't. I'd be majorly concerned too, and halfway wondering if next time I hear anything, it'll be about you on the news. If you don't want parents in your business, then you need to move out. If you're not willing to move out, then you need to learn to talk to them and set your boundaries. Am I the jerk for telling my parents why I get toys for my family and friends and do not share them with the kids? I just had my 50th birthday. I got exactly 3 kinds of gifts: liquor, toys and Legos, and a new planer. This is actually perfect for me. I already own everything I need. My parents bugged me about still getting toys and bugged me more for putting them away without opening them and letting the younger kids there play with them. I said that most of the stuff I got was either collectibles or too advanced for the little ones, and that I could pull out my tub of random Legos if my parents wanted to watch them because the rest of us were enjoying the party. My parents just kept at it, telling me that toys were meant for kids and that I was being immature by not sharing them. When I was out back, my mom went into my office and grabbed my new X-Wing set for the grandkids and great-grandkids to play with. My grandson came and got me because he knows my rules. He's 5. I came into the house and took the box back before they got any of the bags out. I put it in my office and I locked the door. My mom said I was being a jerk, so I just reminded her that when I was a kid, they used to give away my toys. One Christmas, they had forgotten to get a gift for someone, and this was when stores weren't open every day of the year. So they waited until after I opened my gifts. They picked one, rewrapped it, and took it with them to give it away. I was 6. It wasn't the first time, and it wasn't the last. I brought up a few more examples. They were embarrassed and left because I may have been louder than necessary. My parents have been calling me and saying that I'm a jerk for bringing up something that happened decades ago. I asked them if they never wondered why I made sure to destroy the packaging or delicate parts of toys my entire childhood. I knew they wouldn't give away damaged goods to other people. They're mad, and my sister thinks I went too far by calling them out in public. Am I the jerk? Your mom messed around and found out. Lego sets aren't cheap. They're highly collectible, and all that aside, they're yours. If you don't want someone else messing with it, that's your call to make. Mom can run on down to Walmart and buy all the Legos she wants for the kids to play with. Not the jerk. Not the jerk. Your parents made an issue of this. Your mom escalated it by stealing your present, and you explained perfectly why you keep your toys to yourself, as if it was any of their weird busybody business anyway, which it wasn't. If they didn't want their crappy past parenting conduct brought up, they should have left it deep in the past. If she brings it up again in public, just say loudly, "You took away my toys when I was a kid to give them to other kids, but I'll be darned if you're going to do it when I'm an adult." Each and every time. Let them know that you're fine with keeping it in the past, but if they ever try this again, even one peep, you will bring it up in front of everyone again. Then do it. Am I the jerk for telling my mother I'm more important than her? My husband and I have been trying for a baby since the end of last year, and we're just now around 11 weeks along. We decided as a cute idea to do a pregnancy reveal to my mother for Mother's Day. It went well, and we made sure to tell her specifically that we were not posting or announcing anything until at least the end of the first trimester, but that we didn't want anyone else to find out until we got a chance to tell them personally. She told a friend within hours. My husband and I brushed it off because her friend wasn't part of our circle, and the odds of others finding out through her were slim to none. But we made sure to remind my mother we weren't telling anyone. By the end of the night, one of my aunts was already on the phone congratulating me. Within 24 hours, my mother had a grandma reveal Facebook post for all of her friends and family to see. She asked me through text at midnight and didn't even wait an hour to post it. We managed to get her to take the post down after it had been up for 14 hours, but some people found out about our pregnancy who we hadn't been ready to tell. My mother apologized, but always made sure to say only a few people had seen and she'd already taken it down, so it wasn't a big deal. Here's where I should say that all I ever wanted was a genuine apology for spoiling a big moment, with a promise that she wouldn't do it again and a basic understanding of why I was so upset. She couldn't figure it out and ended up becoming defensive. She started calling me a bully for trying to make her feel bad and saying I was ridiculous for holding on to all this anger over something so small. She said I was denying her by not letting her tell anyone about her soon-to-be grandmother status, and that if we hadn't wanted people to know, we shouldn't have told anyone. I snapped, and here's where I might be the jerk. I sent a very harsh message to her. I said she had the emotional maturity of a 5-year-old and a complete disregard for anyone's feelings but her own. That soon-to-be mother trumped grandmother. That she wasn't the priority here. I was, and I was tired of catering to her feelings while she stepped all over mine. I told her the only person I shouldn't have told was her, since no one else seemed to have trouble keeping the secret. I also threatened that if she wanted to continue being a part of my life, then she needed to learn how to think of other people and how her actions might affect them. My husband fully agrees with me that this has gone on long enough, and we need to set very clear boundaries and expectations. But my mother thinks my message was mean, and I should have been nicer in my delivery. My mother obviously thinks I'm a major jerk for this, but I'm not sure I even care about her opinion anymore. So, am I the jerk for telling my mother I'm more important than her? Not the jerk. I wouldn't have sent the message you did. I would have sent the message that she will no longer be told anything about your life until you're ready to share it publicly. If she can't respect your right to decide when to announce news about your life, she forfeits her right to know that news before anyone else. Am I the jerk for not refunding my friends after we canceled our trip? I, female 25, was planning a trip to Paris with my girlfriends, whom I've known for a few years, for an event at TwitchCon. We've been planning this trip since February, and we were really excited to go on this trip together. But here's the problem. A lot of them were struggling with money, and knowing this trip was going to cost a lot, I was willing to chip in more for payments, so that way they were comfortable and able to enjoy Paris without worrying about money. We found an Airbnb that was a reasonable price and was close to everything in Paris. The total price for the Airbnb was $2,567 Canadian dollars, with the first down payment being $1,300. Since it was 4 of us, the split cost would have been $326 each, but knowing my friends are struggling with money, I was trying to be nice and make them pay around $200. So that means I paid $599 Canadian dollars while they had it cheaper. Fast forward a few months, March. One of the girls backed out, but told me to keep the money since she did promise to pay, which for her was very mature and kind. I was even willing to give her money back since I know that she's struggling, but the kindness of her heart allowed me to keep it so I didn't have to spend more out of my pocket. Now we are in the present time, where another girl backed out after ghosting us for months, not letting us know if she would truly be on the trip or not. She kept saying she's waiting on her passport since it's been a few months since applying. We were understanding and just wanted to know if she's down to go so we can book our plane tickets. She made us wait for months with no update. Now that's 2 out of 4 of us not going. Knowing that I have to pay for college and the second half of the Airbnb payment back to back, I started to stress out over money. So I told the girls we should just cancel and save up for another time. I tried contacting Airbnb to see if I can get a refund of my $1,300 for them to tell me that I won't get a dime back. Now I'm down $1.3 thousand, and 2 of the girls are demanding me to refund them their $200. Logically, that's not fair or right in my opinion. Since I paid more than they did, I was the one that lost the most, and for them to come at me demanding I give them their money back that I didn't even get back? I would understand if I got the refund and kept it, but them knowing I didn't get a dime back and still demanding their money has really upset me. I explained the situation for them to go, "It's not my problem." One of the girls has even threatened to take me to court over a small claim case. Right now I'm on the fence because I know I'm not in the wrong, but them manipulating me by threatening to take me to court has been making me feel like I am in the wrong. After I was being so kind and understanding of their finances, they don't even consider mine. Is it wrong to think if there is no refund, no one should get a refund? If anything, they owe me money. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. You're not getting a refund from Airbnb. Therefore, they aren't getting a refund either. It's pretty simple. Not the jerk, but your friends are. Next time, do not volunteer to pay more. Instead of canceling, you can try postponing the trip on Airbnb and maybe go there with your family or a different set of friends at a much cheaper time. Worth a try. Not the jerk, or at least not quite, but you didn't handle it well. Barbie and Joan canceled out. This leaves us with 2 choices. We can simply cancel and lose our deposits, or we can still go, but it will cost this much more for each of us to cover their share. What do you think? You get buy-in and no hard feelings because they made the decision. Entitled mom steals my iPad and demands I let her kid keep it. I work at a car dealership as a receptionist, one of my duties being greeting customers when they enter. I'm a professional artist on the side, and I've been busy with some commissions lately, so since it's not busy at the dealer, I started working on my iPad mini. It's old and I'm working on upgrading, but I currently can't afford to, so I live with it despite the battery life being really short, and I have to basically keep it plugged in at all times. During my lunch, I was in the waiting area doing more work when a girl no older than 4, came up and watched me work. This happens a lot when I draw in public, and usually the kids just ask a lot of questions, but this nice girl was very quiet and just had a look of amazement, so I let her be. Her mother, the entitled mom in this story, was nearby at a salesman's desk working on purchasing a new car, which is a long and no doubt boring process. The salesman working with her walked away, which at my dealership they do very often to retrieve paperwork, talk to the sales and finance managers, etc. She looks over at me and her kid and asks, "What are you looking at?" Her kid points at my screen and says, "She's painting puppies." I was working on Twitch emotes of a streamer's dog. I sort of show my screen to entitled mom, and then she asks her kid if she wants to draw. Watch as the girl says excitedly, "Yes." I expected entitled mom to pull out a paper and pencils, or at least ask if I can get some for her too, but she just looked at me expectantly. When I realized she was waiting for me to hand her my iPad, I said, "Oh, she can't use mine, but I can get her a notepad and pens." But apparently that wasn't good enough. She sighs and says, "Just let her draw a little bit. I'm almost done here anyway," which I knew for a fact wasn't true. They were waiting on a bank approval for a loan, which can take anywhere between 5 to 30 minutes, and even then they'll be here longer for financing paperwork, detailing, etc. I start to explain that this is part of my work, and she scoffs, saying I'm just doodling puppies and it was selfish that I wouldn't let the nice girl doodle on my device too. Poor nice girl was just looking at her hands, looking quite embarrassed. I then pretended my lunch was over and got up to spend the rest of my lunch at my desk. I couldn't see her behind a huge truck on display, but I can hear her grumble to nice girl about who knows what. Whatever. I pretend like I didn't hear so I don't mess up this sale for my coworker. Sometime later, nature called me and I get up to go to the restroom. I left my iPad on my seat so it would stay plugged in, and I put a notepad over it to try to cover it up somehow. My desk is a wide crescent shape with no drawers to keep my things safe, so this was the best I could do to somewhat hide it. I was in the restroom no longer than 3 minutes, but when I got back, only my charger remained. My iPad and Apple Pencil were gone. I looked over to the lady who had her large purse suspiciously in her lap now instead of on the floor beside her chair like it was before. I was panicked because a lot of my work is on that iPad that I needed. I went to my sales manager and told him the situation. He told me he would take care of it, but to be patient for now. I went back to my desk full of anxiety and my stomach doing backflips. Sales manager went to the desk where entitled mom was to work out the deal. They're far enough that I can hear their voices but not pinpoint what they're saying, but I did hear her eventually yell, "How dare you! I would never steal. Do you want to lose this sale?" I immediately got up and went over behind the lady so sales manager could see me, but she couldn't. He tells her he understands, but my iPad went missing and he wants to make sure no one currently in the building has it. That's when I remembered the Find My feature on all Apple products. My iPad was connected to the dealer's Wi-Fi, so I pulled out my iPhone and pressed play sound for my iPad. Her purse started dinging. She tried to play it off as if it's her ringtone, and sales manager stared at her as if daring her to answer it. Thing is, with the play sound feature, if I keep pressing it, it will keep pinging. I made my presence known and told her to give my iPad back. That's when she stopped playing dumb and just said, "Just let nice girl have it. Her birthday is coming up, and I can't afford a present for her since I'm getting this car." Sales manager said he was happy to cancel the deal so she can instead buy a birthday present for her kid and to return my iPad or he'll call the police. She practically threw my iPad at me where it hit me in the gut and took nice girl from the waiting area to leave. Poor thing looked at me with the most apologetic look on her face before leaving with her mother. Sales manager might have helped me, but he's not exactly the nicest person. From now on, I'm not allowed to bring my iPad to the dealer. I have to either leave it in my car or leave it at home. Whatever. Entitled mom took my Apple Pencil with her since she left in a hurry, so I'm gonna stop by the Apple store after work to get a new one. But until then, I'm stuck with my pens and notepad. Edit. I got off work, And Apple pencils cost like $120. The first generation. The one entitled Mom Took, I bought secondhand for $70. What on earth? Am I the jerk for cutting my son's college funds since he refuses to visit me? I, 38 male, have 3 kids, 18 son, 16 son, and 13 daughter. But one of them isn't my biological son, the one who's 16. I found out about this 3 years ago. It was a messy situation, so I ended up divorcing my wife and leaving. I moved to another city because I needed time to heal. I wasn't physically involved in my kids' life for 2 years, but I called them every day and talked to them. I also paid child support for the 3 of them. Here's where I know I did a terrible thing, and maybe that's why Alexander is mad at me and doesn't want to see me. When I called my kids, I only called Sophia and Raphael, who are 13 and 18, because I felt uncomfortable talking to Alexander. One day he was angry and grabbed the phone crying and said, "Don't you love me, Dad? Why are they more important to you?" I politely replied and said, "Honey, look, I love you, but I need some time to heal. I'm still your father and I'll be back soon." He knows I'm not his biological father. I talked to him through messages because I didn't feel completely comfortable doing a FaceTime. I moved back to my city last year with my new partner to settle down, and my kids, who are 13 and 18, came to visit me immediately. But Alexander didn't come, so I went to his mom to see what was going on, and I talked to him and also apologized for treating him the way I did, but he refused to come to my house and said that he only wanted to hang out with me, and we did that. When he found out my wife, he refused to come to my wedding, was pregnant, he told me not to visit him again. Then I found that his mom was seeing Alexander's biological father, so I thought that my son wanted a relationship with his biological dad instead. So even if it hurts, I respected his wishes until I found out that he rejects this guy. Raphael said that one day this guy was trying to spend time with him, but Alexander said, "Look, dude, no hard feelings, but don't try to force a fatherly role on me because you are not my dad and I already have one." So I decided to invite him again to live with me because my other 2 kids live with me 80% of the time and he's the only one who refuses. My daughter was born 6 days ago and he hasn't come to see his half-sister. So I called him and said that if he doesn't come to see me, I'll be cutting his college fund. He told me to buzz off and then hung up. My mom's saying that I'm being a jerk for threatening him that way. Am I the jerk? Seriously, I don't see the point of paying a college fund for a kid that doesn't even want to see me. You abandoned your son, who no doubt took this news as hard or harder than you did. You turned your back on him. Now you want him to dance like a trained monkey playing to your whims so he can have a future? You're the jerk. A very selfish jerk. Your poor, poor son. It's funny OP is upset that his son doesn't want to see him and thinks he deserves to be punished for that when he did the exact same thing and doesn't deserve to be punished. With that kind of flexible gymnastics, he might be the first person that can actually go forget himself.
And welcome to our newest subscribers, Don, William, and Doctor. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tick the bell for all notifications, and you could get a shout out in our next video.
Oh, and you gotta see this video, this one that just popped up. Come check it out and we'll see you when you get there.